Cops of Reddit, what is the most stupid criminal you have ever met? Not a cop, but I've got a story. I already posted it to AskReddit about Kevin, so if you've seen it before, that's where. A little over a month ago my apartment was broken into whilst my boyfriend was still inside. He works nights, so at midday he's still fast asleep and didn't notice this guy come in and rummage around until he throws the bedroom door open, panics at seeing my BF, and runs off. My BF looks around the apartment and find that the laptops, tablets etc are still there, and he must have run off before getting to all that. But a handful of smaller valuables such as USBs, keys, wallets were gone. He also did a fair amount of damage rummaging around and spray painting our walls. Also ate our biscuits. What was there, however, were the idiot's bags. He'd left his school rucksack containing some schoolwork, some of our possessions, his ID, some years old school papers with his parents' phone numbers on it, etc. So already he's an idiot. We know who he is. The police are having a laugh with us a little later about it, and as one of them takes my BF's statement, we hear a knock at the door. I go to answer it as a friend said he was coming over anyway, and I find the same guy from the ad outside my door. He looks at me, then at the police officer behind me, still holding the bags, and asks, "Can I have my bags back please?" After a stunned moment, he's grabbed by the police officer and my BF confirms that this is the guy. He's arrested on the spot. The police said it was the dumbest thing they'd ever seen, like something out of a sitcom. It made local news. That is brilliant. So I get a call of a beer run, shoplifting, from the local CVS. I check the area and see two guys matching the description. I detain them and sure enough they had a couple Coronas and some off-brand whiskey. I confirm with CVS they were the suspects. The alcohol was their property, and they are desirous of prosecution. All is good. My state requires I take them to the station to book into jail and get fingerprinted. Then they are issued a citation and released with a court date a couple months out. While driving to the station I ask what they were doing stealing the alcohol. One guy says that they are only 20 and since they weren't old enough to buy it, they just decided to steal it instead. No big deal. Young people make stupid mistakes. I get to the jail, book them in and start filling out the citation. The citation requires both birth date and age. I do the math on the birthday, and sure enough the guy is 21, meaning he is old enough to buy alcohol. I go back into the jail and verify his birthday. Yup, same one he had listed on his driver's license. I do the math out loud. 21 years old. I ask how old are you again, he replies 20 sir. I said you turned 21 last month. Again he is adamant no I turned 20. I just left it at that. TLDR. Guy stole beer because he forgot his age and thought he wasn't old enough to buy it. Went to jail because of it. Which would make me 20 because everyone is 10 for 2 years. Because 5th grade is really hard for everyone. A friend of mine got his phone stolen one time. So he called to his own phone number and the burglar answered the phone. He then told the burglar that he was willing to pay to get his phone back and the robber agreed. So they decided to meet at some random place to do the exchange, and obviously my friend brought the police with him. So they caught the robber with the phone and a Pikachu face. Sorry for my English, me no native. Not a cop, but I used to work at a smoke shop. 3 guys broke in through a large window, left blood everywhere just trying to get in. Walked right past the high-end fancy expensive glass and proceeded to grab as many cheap Chinese bongs as possible. They went back through the window breaking 2 or 3 bongs in the process of crawling through the tiny hole they made, probably cutting themselves even more than they already have, and hightailed it across the street. They seemed to have dropped dang near everything while running because there was literally a trail of broken glass leading to the apartment across the street. Cops came, followed the glass trail leading directly to someone's door, looked over the little fence to their bottom floor balcony and saw 3 guys all cut up smoking from a broken bong. We estimated they took 8 or 9 bongs. They were smoking from the only survivor. They turned out to be regulars. Never seen them again after that. That stupidity is freaking astounding. Not a cop, but work corrections as a company. Had a new inmate ask me if I could bring some drugs in for him. Laughed in his face, thinking he was joking. He wasn't, and had to inform him that just asking that question to a staff member could land him in the hole. He didn't see what the big deal was. He tells me he always asks the staff at every jail he lands in. Just shook my head and thanked him for the job security, which made 2 other inmates standing close by burst out laughing. The fact that 2 other inmates laughed makes this story even better, for some reason. There was a kid who sold drugs on my floor of the college dorm who wasn't the brightest. One night he was driving back to the dorm and a police car comes behind him and turns on their lights. His dumb ass stored all of his drugs in his car and assumed they were pulling him over for possession. He proceeds to drive through a red light and pull into the dorm parking lot to hide. Mind you, his car was covered in bumper stickers, had a kayak rack, and a vanity plate to top it all off. The parking lot only had one entrance and exit too. Apparently he thought the police car wouldn't go through a red light to follow him. Long story short, they were just going to warn him for having a taillight out and nothing more. Instead, he ended up in the local jail and expelled from the college. The funniest part is that his ledger of all transactions and the dollar amounts, products, and buyers was also right there in his car. He was one stupid criminal. Never overreact to police presence. Numero uno. Someone needs to do a remix to Biggie's 10 Crack Commandants. We had an inmate that would constantly call Crime Stoppers on his contraband cell phone and try to get them to give him the reward if he confessed to his crimes. He did this several times a month. He's just trying to work both ends of that deal. Nothing wrong there. Not a cop or criminal, but we had a guy break into my high school with his buddy and smash a bunch of soda machines. We had cameras all over the school, but these guys were smart. They said, now we're gonna cover up our faces so they don't know who did it, and then wore Letterman jackets with their names on the back. My friend's sister and a few of her friends thought it would be funny to steal alcohol from a liquor store when they were in high school. Her sister wore her Letterman jacket inside. Her mom was mad. Not a cop myself, but about 10 years ago I got held up and robbed by a group of 3 guys with knives. All they wanted was the money in my wallet, so me being the smart guy not wanting to mess with knives just obliged. At the end of the ordeal he put the knife to my throat and said, if you ever tell the cops my name is redacted, I will slice your throat right now. So I went home, called the cops, told them where it happened and gave them the name the guy told me. The name instantly rung a bell with them since the guy had come into contact with the police in the past. Cops went to the spot where I was robbed and they were laying in ambush for a new guy to appear. They could instantly identify the guy. He was arrested and that's about it. Happened in the Netherlands. Don't know his sentence or anything. I'm a 911 dispatcher in Florida. Sometimes confused or drunk people knock on the wrong door or try to get into a house thinking it's theirs, but it isn't. It's an honest mistake, but the homeowner is rightfully very afraid, thinking they are about to be robbed or worse. Well, I had this kid, must have been in his early 20s and clearly stoned, call me going absolutely crazy that someone is trying to kill him and take his property and rape his girlfriend, blah blah blah. I send units code 3 to this guy thinking it's a burglary in progress. Turns out the guy ordered a pizza and forgot about it. Scared the delivery guy half to death. Yay man. To be honest, some people's brains react freaking berserkly to weed. Unless it wasn't weed. Old roommate was as a cop. He came home to tell me an ATM was robbed after hours for $15,240. The next day the man who robbed the ATM deposited $15,240 into his personal account at the bank he robbed the night prior. That is interesting because the bank would have had to file a currency transaction report for that large of a cash transaction, and he likely had to make up a stupid reason for having that much cash. Probably didn't expect that. Went to a job of 2 males attempting to break into a car. Job description said they had been at it for at least an hour. Got there and the car was theirs. They had apparently locked themselves out. Checks confirmed it did belong to one of the person's mum. On their person was stolen mail and heaps of phones and new stuff in boxes in the car, so they got arrested for theft anyway. Ended up that the driver's door they had been trying to break into was the only locked door out of the 4. It was unlocked everywhere else the whole time they were there. Stolen mail. Oh. Every day I see a big black SUV with sheriff written on the side parked in the driveway across the street. I don't know if the guy is the sheriff or works for the sheriff, but one night I wake up to a dozen sirens outside. Turns out some idiot tried breaking into Sheriff Dude's house while he was home and his vehicle was right freaking there. There must be some good stuff in that house. I bet no one's tried to break into that house before because the sheriff's truck is parked outside and no one's as smart as me to realize that the sheriff lives at the police station and this is a trick to stop less smart people from breaking in. So I'm sitting in the station, doing paperwork. I'm looking out of the window, and a few yards away is a bus stop. A young lad is smashing the glass of the bus stop, as a way of showing off to a couple of girls. So I sigh, walk about 20 yards over to him and arrest him. Another time, a lad had just broken into a pharmacy and stolen some drugs, sleeping tablets, which he started taking, maybe to hide the evidence. Who knows how these people's minds work? There's a foot chase, which gets slower and slower and slower. I ended up just walking slowly behind him. The guy fell asleep while I was booking him in. Beginning of chase, Benny Hill theme. As the chase progresses, Benny Hill theme but gradually getting slower. Took a vehicle burglary report where the victim found a driver's license sitting on her driver's seat that the suspect must have left behind. Seems damning, but if he had any criminal smarts he would just say his license was stolen and the thief must have dropped it while breaking into this new victim's vehicle. Without any other evidence, the case would have gone nowhere. The next day I take a report at a church that was a couple of blocks away from the vehicle burglary. This guy stole the video cameras from the building. He must have thought the footage came with the camera, because when we checked the video, there was a high-def close-up of the suspect's face as he removed the camera. Good evidence, sure, but I still didn't know who the guy was, until I looked at the license I collected the day prior and saw it was the same exact guy. Some jackass that robbed my grandmother's house did the same thing. He stole the front door camera. We have video of him doing it. My father is a police officer. He once told me a story of a call he went to for reports of a man and woman fighting in an apartment. Call came from neighbors for noise complaints concern. He was third shift, so this was at some point very late at night, when all the crazy people are up and at him. When he arrived he could hear the yelling through the door. He knocked and let them know it was the police. There was immediate silence and a man answered the door, completely naked. The naked man didn't even give my dad a chance to speak or ask questions. The first thing he said was, "I don't have a knife behind my back." Well, he definitely did have a knife behind his back, and the naked woman he was with had drugs, which was what they were fighting over. They both got arrested that night. Tip: don't do illegal drugs, and if you do, don't answer the door for the cops. Not a cop, but worked at a 7-Eleven in a rough part of Chicago. Had two guys come in and ask for 2 bottles of Grey Goose. I asked for their IDs, they handed them over, and I grabbed the 2 bottles from behind the counter to ring them up. They proceeded to grab the bottles and book it out of there, leaving their IDs on the counter. I called the police. They came in asking for a description of the thieves and I handed them the IDs. Cops were in disbelief at the stupidity, left and went to the address on one of the IDs that was about 2 blocks away. About 15 minutes later they walked in with the 2 guys and bottles of Grey Goose. Poor guys didn't even have a chance to open them. I confirmed it was them, didn't press charges, took the bottles of Grey Goose back and went on with my overnight shift. Not me, but my buddy is a cop and told me about this one kid in particular he dealt with for years. No cleverness to him. Numerous times he walked into his neighbor's garage in broad daylight and just stole his bike. Constantly stole from stores in plain view. Even the occasional minor assault or burglary. He always got caught. Like had never gotten away with any of his hundreds of crimes, but because he was a minor there were never any real repercussions. A few days before he turned 18 my friend and another officer went to his house to basically remind him that if he does anything after that he will face real punishment as an adult and he'll get 0 breaks. Like a last ditch effort to be helpful. 2 days after his 18th birthday he's caught committing an armed robbery. Pretty sure he's doing a few decades behind bars. Something isn't clicking in his head. My dad is a cop and he was interrogating a robber which was denying he had any involvement since the start. "Dad, the man told us that you robbed him of $500. Robber, no, it was only $300. He basically gave himself away." Can't go into too much detail, but kid, 14, shot another kid, 15, in the leg after a fight in their apartment complex. The victim is able to describe the gun the shooter used in detail. We get shooter's name from another kid who knows him from school. My partner looks up his Instagram and would you believe it? There he is posing with a gun described to us exactly. Social media is a treasure trove of wannabe gangsters incriminating themselves. Let's be honest, if people knew how to not brag about the illegal crap they do, arrest rates would be cut in half. Not sure if this counts, since I'm not a cop, but I am a nurse in a very busy emergency room in a large city. We had a guy come in police custody for multiple reasons, one being that he was combative and very high. Long story short, we found various drugs up his butt. His response? "Those aren't mine. Officer, I borrowed this rectal cavity and respectfully, it's on you to prove the rightful legal owner isn't me." Teen gets fired from Red Lobster, returns to rob same restaurant that night. They refuse to give him money from register, so he grabs charity coin box, muscular dystrophy or similar, and then he leaves on bicycle. I go to find him and see coins scattered about, follow trail off same, which leads me to him hiding in bushes at a church. Bicycle was leaning up against the bush he was in. Well golly, I sure can't find Jimmy anywhere. I guess I'll just take this bike. I went to a domestic violence call where the woman claimed her husband hit her. When I asked her how it happened, she told me he couldn't provide the kind of life she wanted him to give her. She stated since he had a heart attack and got lupus he wasn't working, so she decided she should start inviting some friends over to have physical intimacy with her for money. Mind you, she's telling me, a fully uniformed officer, all of this. She says he should act as the person who handles the money for her, that is, her pimp. She then calls someone to come over and tells her husband that after she gets paid for the physical intimacy he should hold the guy at knife point and take the rest of his money. She said he refused to help her with this, so they got into an argument. He pushed past her to get out of the apartment. She claimed that was the assault she called me for. I asked her if she understood she just admitted to planning a felony crime. She looked shocked that planning a prostitution and robbery was wrong at all, and did not get why I wasn't arresting her husband for trying to remove himself from her stupid plan to get them both arrested. She looked shocked that planning a prostitution and robbery was wrong at all. I worked for a road surveying company years ago. There was one area that we were covering that was well known for criminal activity. There were signs posted that literally said, "Warning, drug dealing and prostitution are illegal," at every intersection. From the local newspaper, two young men in a pickup truck on a back road stopped a courting Amish couple in a buggy and told the couple to give them all of their money. Spoiler, the Amish don't generally have money. They do have good memories, though, and told the cops the license plate number. The inept criminals were locals, too, and should have known better than to try and rob the Amish. If you rob the Amish, Brother Ezekiel will cram you into the butter churner and annihilate you. My mom's cousin was a bank robber. The time he got caught, he went into a bank, scoped the place out, left to go back to his bike. This MF robbed banks on a freaking bike. He put the mask on, robbed the bank. Police see the tape, see that bank robber was wearing same exact clothes as guy who left less than a minute before. And that was that. Note to self, police won't catch me if I change clothes first. My ex stole a car and went to pick up his friend at the police station in the stolen car. He parked right in front of a cop. The cop ran the plates and escorted him into the building. Next day, he was on the news as the most stupid criminal in town. Should have hit the pay and spray first. As a teacher, remember asking a student who was looking a bit out of it what was up. Sleepily she replies, "Didn't get much sleep." I asked her if everything fine, as you'd normally do. "Yeah, it's okay. My uncle got arrested last night though. Low socioeconomic area, so it's not as unusual as you'd think." Anyway, she tells the story. Uncle's so stupid, he and his mate thought it would be a good idea to steal a local ATM. He has his mate smashed through the windows, put chains around it and dragged it out with their big truck. They decided it worked well, so they ended up dragging all the way home. She gives a half smile. Thing is, cops found them easy, just followed the marks on the road all the way to the front door. So yeah, worthy I feel. Quick edits to say, I'm Australian. Gotten tired, so excuse language, can't think. This would have been 2008 or 2009 too. That actually scares me, it was so long ago. Similar thing happened in college. Some guys chopped down a pine tree from the quad to use as a Christmas tree. Security found them by following the very obvious path they carved through the snow as the would-be lumberjacks dragged it back to their dorm room. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.